Hey everyone, welcome to episode 7 of my tarot tutorial series. If you would like to check out the playlist that I made of all the other episodes that you might not have seen, make sure to check out the link below in the description box. In today's video, we're going to talk about reversed cards. And reversed cards are quite a controversial topic in tarot reading, and there are quite a few tarot readers who don't even do reversed cards, and that's totally fine. If you're a beginning tarot reader and you don't yet know if you should read reversed cards or not, then I recommend that you check out my video and see if you resonate with the idea or not. And then, of course, you should also test it in theory in your readings. If a reversed card shows up in your reading, and that's kind of a key element here, you cannot force this to happen. It's something that just naturally occurs during shuffling and just the way you use your cards. Sometimes there are reversed cards showing up, and you can either choose to ignore the fact that they are reversed or work with the different energy that the cards represent when they are upside down. The ideas and theories that I'm going to be talking about in this video are my own, and like I often say, nothing is really set in stone. So, of course, everybody needs to have their own style, their own way of reading the cards. And you may find that you don't necessarily want to follow the same technique, or you don't agree with my ideas, and that's totally fine. I thought I would put my ideas out there just to see if it resonates with people or if it can inspire them. So, the type of deck that you use might allow for reversed cards to appear more easily. As you can see, these cards, they look the same upside down and upright. So it's really hard to encounter reversed cards in your readings, because even when you're shuffling, you don't see if the cards are in the right direction. And generally the idea with reversed cards is that they represent a distorted image. It's like a distorted mirror image of the essence of the card, of the given card. And I'm going to demonstrate this idea to you in a few minutes. So what do I mean by distorted image? It's like one of those funny mirrors which you look into, and when you look in the mirror you can still kind of recognize yourself, but at the same time it's all different. And another way to explain how reversed cards work is when you encounter people you know in your dreams, people you know in real life, you might encounter them in your dreams. And they might be, or they might appear to be, a totally different person. So your friends can act like they are your enemies, and your enemies might act as if they were your friends. So kind of like this doppelganger type concept is also relevant when it comes to interpreting reversed cards. And when you think about, getting back to the mirror analogy, when you think about distorted images, a few things that might come to your mind is that a distorted image represents a loss of information. There's a loss of information with a distorted image, and there's also a new representation of the real life object. So it's kind of like the real thing is twisted and it takes on a different meaning, simply by losing parts of the essence of what it is, losing some of the information that makes up that given object. You can also think of distorted images as something threatening. You can also think of them as something funny. And the way it works out with reversed cards is always different. It always depends on the given card. Certain traditionally sinister cards can turn out to be really optimistic and nice when they are in the reversed position. And certain traditionally positive cards can take on a more gloomy, sinister meaning when they are in the reversed position. I'm actually looking for the Ten of Swords to demonstrate my idea here, because the Ten of Swords in reverse is a card that is relevant to me right now. And I feel like I can better explain it if I have it in my hand, but it's just not turning up. And by the way, what I just said about traditionally good and bad cards, about traditionally positive and negative cards, I might also make a video about that, because I believe that it's kind of a simplistic way of looking at it, and I sometimes fall into this mistake, this over generalization, and sometimes I feel guided to announce that a card is very positive, very reassuring, and that's fine, because sometimes cards just give you a good feeling when you look at them. They give you encouragement that what you're doing is right. But what we need to understand is that each card is like a universe in and of itself, with complicated and complex emotional, mental connotations that are just not simply positive or negative. But that's the topic for another video. let's focus on the Ten of Swords now. So the Ten of Swords upright is quite a menacing card if you look at this image, with the 10 swords in the back of this person laying on the ground. He's totally pinned down, unable to move. This is clearly overkill, and there's just a sense of helplessness and brutality with this card. And the state of mind or the circumstance or the context that it resonates with is a sort of a rock bottom moment where you don't know what to do and where to go anymore, where you're at the end of your rope and you're just totally defeated. And of course, since the tarot is about cycles in many ways, of course it has a hint of optimism, because the message of the card is that there's just no way that it can get any worse than this. And if you survive the worst, then you can move on and be open to new experiences, new, better experiences. When the Ten of Swords is upside down, reversed like this, a funny theory that I read about reversed cards is that one way to imagine cards acting in the reversed position is to imagine that the force of gravity is pulling everything in the picture down like this. So in fact, this person would be pinned up to the ceiling and the swords would be falling out of his back. It's just a funny side note. I sometimes like to imagine things figuratively like this, but if you want to think about it in a more abstract way, with the Ten of Swords in reverse, we have more of like a comical effect. It's not as dense and dark anymore. It still represents a kind of suffering, but it's on a more light-hearted scale. It's more manageable. It's more friendly. It's so grotesque and so incredible that it almost becomes funny. I don't know if you have ever had this experience when you are in the middle of a distressing situation and you're really feeling down and depressed, perhaps angry and upset, and you kind of start acting childish, and for a moment you snap out of it and you look at yourself and say, how ridiculous, and then you start to laugh when you observe the situation from outside of yourself, from a certain distance. You might find it funny. You might find it even uplifting in certain ways. And that's what the Ten of Swords in reverse represents. There's another thing, another idea that came to me about the Ten of Swords in reverse, is that it represents a coping mechanism something that spontaneously kicks in when you are really down, when you're feeling really lost and alone and confused and humiliated. In those moments of darkness, there's sometimes a way of looking at it that occurs to you spontaneously. And almost magically, you are outside of yourself, outside of the situation, and you're just feeling happy against all odds. This is what my interpretation of this card is. This is what it boils down to: being happy against all odds, having some sort of unexplainable optimism and joy, even when things are not working out, even when things are dark. So now I want to look at another card that is more perhaps positive, that we can talk about. And I don't have a specific card in mind, but we will see. Maybe it pops up. For example, the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups represents ideas like friendship, companionship, social activity, experiencing joy in sharing your emotions and ideas and plans with others. Basically having a good time with other people. Coming out of your shell as a person and connecting with others. And celebrating the fact that you are not alone. When the Three of Cups is in reverse, again, we can try the gravity theory here with these women emptying their cups unintentionally because they're hanging upside down, and all the liquid that was in their cups is pouring out, and they're losing water, they're losing emotion, they're losing connection. Or another way to look at it, again with the distorted image technique, is that there's a companionship, but it's not based on real values. It's not based on sharing and caring about each other. It's more based in gossiping, and talking about shallow, superficial things, perhaps even friends turning on one another. It's that kind of social experience where you are connected, you are part of a group, but it's not fulfilling, it's not satisfying, because it has the conversation has some mean qualities. This friendship is based in demeaning others or criticizing each other, manipulating each other. That kind of thing. another theory that I want to share with you before I wrap up this video is that when a card is in reverse, there's something either latent or missing or blocked in some way. And this is not my theory, but it also works. So that's another way to think about it. The energy of the given card, when reversed, becomes a representation of that given energy missing, latent, or blocked. That can also be a good clue. I hope that you found this video useful, and I hope to see you in my next video.